We're here. Yay. Welcome to American Sex Live. It's Wednesday night. One more time. It's like always Wednesday night. Not that I'm complaining, but time goes by fast. We were talking about that earlier. How time goes by faster the older you are. Do you know why? Because each increment of time is a smaller ratio. So like when you're 10, 1 year of your life is 1/10 of your life, and it seems like forever. When you're 60, it's 1/60th of your life, and it's like, boop, it's Wednesday again. Yep. So yeah, so hi, welcome to American Sex Live. That's your little Cliff Clavin tidbit. Thank you, Get Vocal, for the V coins.
Cliff Clavin, really?
Yeah.
Zoomers are gonna have no fucking idea who Cliff Clavin is.
Tell me in the chat.
Grandma.
Do you know who Cliff Clavin is? You know who Cliff Clavin is? I bet you they do. Anyway.
Ruben Cherry, no.
See, cheers, exactly. I'm Sunny Megatron. He's Ken Melvoinberg. We're sexuality educators. Our thing is so crooked, and there's an animal behind there. We're sexuality educators, pleasure advocates, and kinky perverts too. Normally you hear us every Monday on our podcast called American Sex, which drops on iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio and all those places. This Wednesday night live stream, first of all, it's live, so you never know what's going to come out of our mouths, and we can't edit it. But secondly, it's different content than what you hear on the Monday podcast. So it's kind of like you get American Sex Podcast twice a week. And this broadcast is cool because in a little bit, I'm going to open up the slot so some of y'all can come on and ask questions and interact. And this is going to be a very interactive conversation, which I'm very excited about.
Are you okay?
It's live. You never know what's going to happen.
Did I hit you with a string?
Right in my eyeball. Anyway,
take that, wife.
We're going to be trending on Twitter. Husband blinds wife on Get Vocal. Oh my God. Anyway,
take that.
If you are watching on one of our simulcast stations, which is Periscope on Twitter, Facebook Live, or YouTube Live, you might be wondering why I keep talking about Get Vocal, Get Vocal, Get Vocal, because we're actually broadcasting on Get Vocal. And even though you're welcome to stay on those simulcast stations and watch and enjoy the conversation, there's a couple of downsides that you have. One, if you interact in the chat on those platforms, we can't see it. We can only see the chat here on Get Vocal. Also, as I said, people can pop on camera and join the conversation. You can only do that if you're on the Get Vocal platform. And lastly, when we're done here with this live recording, we shut it off, but we hang around and we have a whole after party. And that's when things get weird. Like the other day, I want to say we're on here for an hour talking about all sorts of stuff. So if you want to be part of the after party, you got to come to Get Vocal. So whatever platform you're watching on, look above you. There should be a link. Click on that link, come on over and join us on Get Vocal, or go to bit.ly/SunnyGetVocal, which is SUNNYGETVOKL. All right, got that out of the way. What other balls do we have to watch? Oh, those of you who are watching on Get Vocal or anywhere, also up there somewhere or in the chat is a link where you can share. Please, my eyes. I'm like, you know, like I'm really scared. You can share with your friends and have them come on over, or your metamors, or whoever. Please, I don't want a dick in my eye.
Is it Wednesday already?
I'm not even going to see it coming. Also, in the chat on Get Vocal, you may notice little gifts and little coins dropping. If you like what we do, you can give us a tip here right on Get Vocal. You hit the little blue diamond and give us V coins. And if you really, really like what we do, come on over and join our Patreon where you get, I just mailed a huge ass stack of stickers. So, and I'm completely caught up. Everybody they're all out in the mail. So even to Australia and where else? Canada or something? Like international, lots of stuff. I'm very proud of myself for getting that accomplished. But I'm going to tape, what do I say tape? Paste into the chat. That is not what
Orange
I'm pasting.
County cutie.
It's a dildo. It's a dildo. I'm going to put in the chat the link to
poorly named dildo.
the link to our Patreon and our free Discord community that you can join as well. And here it is. Boom. And lastly,
how many tabs do you have open? That's a lot.
I'm writing, so I have research cool. Open.
It looks pretty.
It's like 40 tabs or something. Oh, I got 2 other browser windows open too. Like this isn't the only one.
Oh my Jesus.
Yeah, this is how my brain is all the time. Anyway,
Glendora! Hey!
Yay! I think we have washed all the balls. We've got all of our housekeeping done. So as I said, this is part 2 of ethical non-monogamy and polyamory. And I'll tell you why it's part 2. We did part 1, which we at the time thought was going to be the only one, 3 weeks ago. And as we got to the end, it was Rachel who was like, this was so good. And we didn't even get to, everything. It was such a robust, interactive conversation that they were like, okay, we need to have a part 2. And everyone else was like, yes, do a part 2. So we said, this, we do it again. We're doing it again. I also recapped because I do my research. I went and I was like, I need to remember what we talked about last time so we don't repeat and to catch y'all up if you weren't here. So last time.
Oh, wait. There's something we forgot with ball washing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Can you tell them?
I'm not psychic. I don't know what I forgot. Or if I did. Oh, do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
I want you to say it.
Oh, okay. So one more thing for ball washing is Ken has a robust side hustle, which maybe is now a main hustle. Maybe sex ed is going to be your side hustle. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
DMing, which is dungeon mastering or game mastering tabletop games online. So like Dungeons and Dragons, Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder, which is like a cousin of Dungeons and Dragons. It's very similar. And you've been hosting a bunch of games, every single.
Yeah, I've got 5 campaigns currently, 3 of which are interlaced. So what's going on? It's called Jafari's Gift. And I have 3 campaigns so that there is a team of goblins, a team of witches, and a team of pirates. And they're all kind of competing against one another for a dragon's treasure hoard. And I'm showing people this primarily on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm really focusing on people that have been excluded from gaming culture. So anybody who's BIPOC, LGBTQIA, I'm teaching people that are neurodivergent. I've got like 10 different ways to teach people how to play. So if you're taking a look at these games, and
women,
lots of women, very few cis het men. I think there might be only 1 or 2.
Wow.
All the rest of the people are queer and neurodivergent. There's like all sorts of folks that have wanted to play and never got a chance to. And there's some people that have played other systems like Dungeons and Dragons, and they're coming back to play this. Anyways, enough time about that.
Yeah,
Please follow me at twitch.tv/underpantsrpg.
Yay, and I put it in the chat.
Please follow.
Yes, follow. And I play in the game on Tuesdays. We're all witches.
She's a witch.
Me, Dirty Lola, who I know you know, Kevin Patterson from Poly Role Models, and Nisha, who I don't know if Nisha's here yet, but it's fun. Anyway, getting back to what we talked about last week to catch us all up and to refresh. Last time on Non-Monogamy, American Sex Live.
Last time on Non-Monogamy,
we talked about
Sex Live.
We talked a lot about how the polyamorous community is not a utopia, how there are toxic people in that community. Yay, Adam, thank you. There's abusive people in that community, just like every other community. So that's sort of a misnomer amongst people looking in from the outside and community members. We talked about how the polyamory scene, we talked a lot about community last time, how the polyamory community differs region to region in the United States, and how that community can be more inclusive to people that don't really feel like they belong there, which I'm kind of one of those people. Like there's a lot of things that I don't dig about the stereotypically poly community that we talked about last time. We talked about cheating in monogamy versus polyamory. We talked about swingers versus polyamory, how we personally, like our poly journey stories and what we personally did to get into that, which sounds weird. We talked about a little bit about crafting your own relationship rules if you're in a non-monogamous relationship. Polyamory, when you open up your relationship and one partner wants it and the other partner thinks they want it, but they're lying to themselves to preserve what they think is the preservation of the relationship. Couple privilege and unicorn hunting, relationship anarchy. And that's about what we covered. I know one thing that we didn't get to last time, which is a huge cornerstone of the polyamory conversation, which is jealousy, managing jealousy. So I think that's where we should start, and then we'll just see where it goes.
I actually got a comment about something that I was thinking about when I was taking a bath earlier today. That's where I do my best thinking, is in the tub. Mm-hmm. And I was just sitting, relaxing, enjoying the heat, making my muscles relax a little bit.
Were you jerking off?
No, okay. Nothing like that.
Okay.
I forgot what I was talking about.
I'm sorry. You were in the heat. Your muscles were relaxing.
Oh, and I thought, I would really like to see at some point in my lifetime a president that is polyamorous or in an open relationship, because I would think that, I hope that we would see that in our lifetime. I don't think we will.
Yeah. But
can you think of any world leaders that are currently polyamorous?
I might have heard of one, but I can't remember. And that's actually a thing that I'm a little disappointed about. It is our media representation of polyamory. Like, Jada and Will, I don't know what you're doing, and it's your business. It's really none of our business. And
thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. We shouldn't be gossiping about it, but they've sort of hinted that they have an open relationship, and then there was this August cheating thing. Go look at the tabloids if you're not up on the story. It's kind of messy, and people think that they're polyamorous. I don't even know if that's true. It's just what the popular culture thinks.
Yeah.
So it's not putting polyamory in a great light. It's making it look really messy. And that's not necessarily Jada and Will's fault. It's all of our faults for being gossipers, and everyone's saying they're polyamorous. Are they real? I don't know if they've ever actually come out and said it. I'm confused. But there aren't really good, very famous role models
world leaders, specifically what I was thinking of.
World leaders.
Not even celebrities, but world leaders.
Anybody. And I'm sure there are. I'm sure they totally are polyamorous. They're just not open.
Just let Bella Thorne find out about polyamory, because then she's just going to fuck that up for her. Yeah, she did everything.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure they're out there. They're doing it, but we don't hear about it. They're hiding it because of the stigma and whatnot. So I hope we get a good, healthy representation of polyamory in the media.
So sorry,
Please,
Gwen.
no, yeah.
So sorry, Gwen.
I am actually going to open up the slots. I want to give everyone a heads up. If you decide to come on camera with us, you will be broadcast everywhere on our simulcast stations, and those are also...
This is like you sticking your finger in the crack of your ass and going, smell this. There's no advantage to them.
There is. It's consent, because if I want to reuse this footage and then someone's on it and I don't have their consent. So anyway, sometimes I reuse this. This might end up on YouTube or, on the podcast, wherever. Just know lots of people are going to see you. A couple weeks ago, we had 5,000 people watching along on Periscope. So just throwing that out there. If you come on, you're giving us your consent to be broadcast wherever and used throughout all eternity on any media now or in the future.
TV show The Politician, Murphy Brown is in a poly relationship.
I've been hearing about The Politician. You know who's on The Politician? Theo, what's their name? Theo, that was on the Work in Progress on Showtime. We know their partner in real life.
Bill's partner?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just learned they were on that show.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm like, I want to see that. Interesting. Okay, so jealousy. A lot of people who ask us or other polyamorous people, and for those who are just joining us that don't know a lot about polyamory, I like to call it ethical non-monogamy. It is not cheating. It is being with other partners with the full knowledge of all of your other partners. A lot of people think, so you don't have the jealousy gene. Like, you don't get I can never be polyamorous because I get jealous. And polyamorous people get jealous. Absolutely. Jealousy is often, usually when we get jealous, our knee-jerk reaction is, okay, let's say your partner is dating somebody else with full knowledge, like there's been no lying or cheating or anything like that. Everything's on the up and up, but you start feeling jealousy. And oftentimes in hetero relationships, we take that out on either the partner, or hetero, monogamous relationships, a typical cheating scenario, that partner's horrible, they need to die, I'm going to slash their tires. Or your partner who's cheated, it's like, we just freak out. And even in poly relationships, I'm very scared about my eyes. In polyamorous relationships, it's often the same thing. When you feel that knee-jerk reaction of what we call jealousy, which we'll drill down on that in a minute, because jealousy is actually a lot of other different emotions that are underneath that we call jealousy. Our knee-jerk reaction is to point our finger at others. Well, if you didn't do this, if you weren't doing that, if you would have, should have, could have done that, then I wouldn't feel this way. How I feel is other people's fault. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. But
I was reading the screen.
There's no feedback, and
Actually, there's nothing that you said.
Wait, don't piss you off because I might spank you. What's happened? Did I do something spanky? Okay. Anyway, and jealousy oftentimes is really another word for us feeling scared. Oftentimes it's fear that we're not good enough. It's fear that our partner is going to love somebody else more than we are. It's fear that the other person is going to take our partner away, that sort of thing. So when you look at people who are in open relationships, and I see this a lot in people who are just starting out and they have conditions like, okay, you can
fuck them but not kiss them.
Yeah, fuck somebody else but not kiss them. Or you can, you're putting conditions. And in one respect, it's a nice, I don't know if it's the right word, way to start dipping your toes in the water of like thinking in a new way and experiencing new things and dealing with rough feelings. But in another sense, at the same time, you are still exerting that control upon your, like, whoever else is in your life, your partner, sort of like how we talked about in monogamous relationships. A lot of it's about control and possession and that sort of thing. You're controlling your partner or the situation in attempts to manage your own feelings instead of just managing your own feelings. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because that's a cyclical statement.
No, it's not.
You're managing your own feelings to manage your own feelings?
In attempt, you're not really managing your own feelings. You think
I don't know.
By controlling the other person, do you guys know what I mean? By controlling is it just him? By controlling the other person or the actions or putting conditions upon the relationship or you can fuck but you can't kiss. You're doing that because you don't want to feel jealousy. So by putting those constraints on, it will prevent you from feeling jealousy, yes, but you're not getting to the core fucking reason of why you're feeling jealous in the first place and actually working on processing those feelings. You're like slapping a Band-Aid on it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That makes more sense.
So you think you're controlling your feelings, and I guess you are controlling them, but not in the right way.
Just saying the Pleasure Mechanics have a great episode on jealousy.
Oh, good. I love Pleasure Mechanics. I'm going to listen to that. So, for us, like our jealousy experience, and please chime in if you have jealousy experiences you want to share. Our jealousy experience, like when we first started dating, this was both of our first open relationship. And we started that way, very purposely and consciously. Like when we met and we started like, hey, you want to go out? And then right away it was like, I never want to be monogamous.
I had an open relationship before. It was just a really unsuccessful, failed relationship.
It wasn't a healthy.
And it wasn't that from the beginning. It was a fix.
Can you just like in 2 sentences say how your relationship was configured?
Sure. I was married to Satan. And no, my ex-wife wanted to sleep with women and she wanted me to sleep with women with her, and she wanted to sleep with women by herself, but I wasn't allowed to do the same thing.
You weren't allowed to be alone with other women.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to be with other women.
So those are those conditions,
But
right there.
Her condition was that the person is of the same, they identify as the same gender, so that was okay to be alone, which really wasn't very logical. Because what does gender have to do with being alone? That just, it's like you were saying, it was a control thing.
It's sort of the reverse of a one dick policy. Yeah. Which that is, you will see in hetero relationships. It's like, okay, wife, you can go sleep with other women. I can go sleep with other women. We can sleep with other women together, but don't you dare fuck another man. And it's like, that's fucked up.
See, that didn't bother me at all. And like you said, our situation was the reverse. It was, she didn't want me to be alone with anybody that I wanted to be with. That's what it really boiled down to. So if I was alone with somebody, so I don't even think she cared so much about how they expressed their sexuality or what their gender was. It was just, she didn't want me to be alone with any other partner sexually. She wanted to be in the room to control it.
Was it, do you think, like, we're totally having a therapy session on your old marriage, but do you think it was because she was scared that you would get emotionally attached? Like, was your openness more of a sexual thing, or was she having relationships with the other people as well?
She was having relationships, and then they always ended up kind of the same way, where she would get really emotionally invested and then kind of like put constraints on the other person. The other person said, I'm out of here because this is not a thing. Kind of doing the same thing she was doing to me, just in a different way. But it's just like, it was the inequality of the situation that really bothered me more than anything else. It was like, and I'm completely fine with her sleeping with whoever she wants, much like I am with you. Like, I don't care who you sleep with. I just want you to be safe and have fun.
Right.
And that was really what it was about. Sex is a good thing. It's fun. And that type of jealousy just didn't make sense to me. And I didn't have jealousy in the relationship, but I felt unequal as a partner. So it was just, it was a huge inequality.
But what I'm trying to drill down to is that jealousy on her part came from her fear. Her fear of losing, being number one emotionally to you.
Yes.
Which is super common. Like, that's a lot of people's fear. It's like, that other person is going to take my partner away. My partner is going to like that other person more. That other person's younger, prettier, smarter, funnier, whatever than me, sort of thing. And for me, when I first started dating you, which was my first open relationship, and I guess your first healthy,
good relationship from the beginning.
Right. I never had to experience jealousy. And as a polyamorous person, there are some people, the very rare person, but I'm not going to say there are no people in the world that don't experience jealousy. There are a few, but that is very much the exception.
Bryn does not experience jealousy.
But that's more of his neurological makeup for a lot of reasons. Oh, yeah. Like the average person is not like that. The average person does feel jealousy. And so as a new poly person, it was like, okay, I had to discover what made me jealous the hard way as it happened. Like, it wasn't like, I know what makes me jealous, so I'm just going to manage it and so it'll never happen. No, I had to have it happen, me be upset, me figure it out and process it to figure out what my jealousy patterns were and what emotions were underlying there, and then figure out how I needed to manage my own ass because it wasn't your fault.
There was situations that were between us where you got jealous?
Yeah. Like, I think the one situation, I think this is natural when we first started dating and there was other people, it was like, it was that fear of the unknown. Like, is that other person smarter, prettier, all those things.
That's Bunny, the same person that's with me now.
But I realized that was sort of my old monogamous programming. You know what I mean? Like, as I got to know those people and know you and have a little bit of experience in this type of relationship, I realized that wasn't a factor. maybe part of it was our relationship was new. Like, how do I know that you really want to be with me for it? We weren't married then. We weren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think part of it, honestly, is age. If I was in my 20s and we were doing that, I think I would have a harder time. And I don't know why. I'm trying to figure out why. If it's that the way I came up in the 80s, there was no non-monogamy.
Oh yeah, there was no life. There was no like.
Well, not even that. Don't like me. It was that I had no examples. The only example I had was toxic monogamy, ownership. Like when you're with someone, you own them. There are certain rules that you can't do this in a relationship. It was very unhealthy, toxic stuff. That's the only example of a relationship that I had. I didn't know you could be any other way. So when I say I don't know if I could have had this healthy of an attitude in my 20s, I think part of it is, it was the 80s, 90s, whatever, 90s when I was in my 20s. And I think part of it, though, is age. With age comes perspective, and you don't get perspective without experience. And, as you get older, you learn to trust yourself more. You just get to learn, what like human nature is like. So I heard someone like talking about the decades once, saying like, in your 20s, you're so preoccupied with what everybody thinks of you. Mm-hmm. And in your 30s, you start to like give your fucks away a little bit. You like, maybe I don't really care what everybody, let them think whatever they want to think. And then when you get to your 40s, you realize nobody was even thinking about your ass anyway. But you know what I mean? And it's like each decade you gain some life perspective. So I think for me, it's a combination of gaining life perspective and being further removed from the 80s and 90s and toxic monogamy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like the deeper I get into my 50s, the more comfortable I am. This is the favorite age that I have been so far. You could not pay me to be 18 again. Fuck that.
If I could be in my 18 body with my 49-year-old mind.
Well, that I wouldn't mind so much, but like I don't want to have the 18-year-old mind to go with the 18-year-old body, because I was not like, I didn't even become mature till I was in my late 30s. Sincerely, like I was completely immature, much more so than I am now, and I really didn't have a good grasp over myself.
So I discovered, so as we were like going through this relationship and I was learning about myself and learning about jealousy and how I experienced and manifested jealousy, very quickly I got over they're prettier than me, they're funnier than me,
nobody's funnier than you.
I know nobody's funnier.
Nobody's smarter than you.
And what I did feel was sometimes I would feel pangs of jealousy, like when you would go out on a date.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, we've talked about this before. It's not a big deal.
Doesn't mean I'm not sorry.
I would feel like, oh, I'm jealous, And at first, and probably this is just my monogamous programming, my knee-jerk reaction in my mind would be like, that other person is taking him away, or he doesn't like me. And then I'd be like, no, like that. It's just like they were just like passing through my mind.
Did you research that? Like when you had those feelings, did you like get books and start reading?
I think I did. Like I had the ethical slut, and so I'm sure that helped me. There's no way I would have figured all of this out on my own. Although I do have to say, my ex, God, we're talking about exes today. My ex, cheated on me, and with a very nice woman. And she was really cool. Like she was really cool, and they were friends. And I was like, I think they're cheating. And it was the same point where I was like, I think I want to have an open relationship, but I didn't know what an open relationship was. I thought it was like, swingers, keys in the fishbowl kind of thing. Like I had always, my whole life sort of had like an idea of non-monogamy, even though I didn't really know what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Because I had no examples of it. But I had brought up to my ex, like, hey, what if we were like, kind of apart, but kind of still together, but dating other people? Like I didn't know how to describe it, and he was like swingers. And I'm like, not quite, and he just like freaked out and was like, yo, you're sick. How could you? Oh my God, why don't you love me? Like it was a disaster. But I remember at the time, this whole, I have brought it up at the time he happened to be cheating, even though it wasn't his cheating that made me think of it. It was just coincidental timing. But I remember at the time thinking I wasn't so pissed off that he was cheating on me, like that he was with somebody else, because she was cool and they looked like they probably had fun together. And like, it wasn't so much that part that bothered me. It was the lying and the deceit that bothered me. Like, that's why I was upset.
Yeah, no, I hate that.
But like when
That's
I
the
would
worst.
think about
That is the
them,
worst.
when I would think about them together, I wasn't like, I want to kill her. I was more like, God damn it. Like, it would be so easy for all of this to be okay. And he had to go and like sneak around and make it not okay. And I was just like, what the and I don't think that was, I'm not gonna say normal, but the average thing that someone in their 20s would have thought in the mid 90s. That just nobody was doing that, at least not publicly where I could see and have an example of, So anyway, back to jealousy. So I would feel pains of jealousy, like when you go out with somebody, and I realized it wasn't because you were going out with that person. It wasn't any of that stereotypical stuff. It was at times that I realized that I felt that we were missing something in our relationship. So like, if you were going out on a date with someone and it would trigger jealousy, and then I'd sit and go, what does this jealousy mean? Like, let me dig into this. Oh, it means, let me flip back through my calendar. Gee, we haven't had a date night in a month, and you just had 2 date nights with other people. So rather than that being like, you asshole, that is my trigger to be like, hey, Ken, I need something from you. Like, let's make an like heavy, and it's not a blame. It's not like, you asshole, didn't you notice that we haven't had a date? No, he's in NRE, which is new relationship energy. Like, oh my God, how like is that? I know you're not doing it on purpose. People overlook shit, and it's not on purpose.
You know the weird thing?
Huh?
I don't know if we'll ever have date night again.
I know.
COVID. Like, I know. Like, I'm not just talking other people, but like you and I can't ever leave the house.
Yeah. So,
hot tub date night.
Yeah. So that would be my trigger to be like, hey, this just shined a light on the fact that I feel that we've been missing something in our relationship lately. So let's make a point to like connect more intimately or have a date night or whatever. So I realized that jealousy was the trigger to look inwards and not blame outwards.
Question.
Okay. Let's see. Jealousy is my first red flag. Coming from a previous severe domestic violence situation, I won't tolerate more than a hint of jealousy. Yeah, jealous. And it's interesting because growing up, and I mean, it's still this way, but especially like I think of 80s movies and 90s movies, 70s even, jealousy was like a positive attribute. Like, oh, he's jealous. That means he loves me. Oh, look, I'm going to make him jealous to find out how much he likes me. Like, we use that jealousy as a positive thing. And that is fucked up. That is fucked up. Do not do that. Yeah, it is a huge red flag. So I feel like as younger me, I wouldn't have known enough about myself to do it. Yeah, like I really try to parse out like what is me knowing myself and just being this age, what is me just knowing more about non-monogamy. I think though, like I look at,
I mean, but when we were younger, we didn't have the resources that they have today. There wasn't not just, and I'm not talking just the internet. There really wasn't any great resources back then. There was like a handful of sexuality books, but not really anything that addressed relationships that I can recall. I
think it's generational though. It's like, if let's say I were to plop back in time to 20-year-old me and someone like threw the ethical slut on my lap and all of these resources, I still don't think I would get it because I would have had still the 20 years of the way I grew up. Where kids today, they're so grandma kids these days. I look at Gen Z, I look at our own kids. They grew up with a different set of values. They grew up with consent being a part of everyday interactions that have nothing to do with sex.
Like poly relationships, even in high school.
Exactly. And they know about polyamory. So I think it's like my 20-year-old brain wouldn't be able to comprehend this because of the type of growing up I did for 20 years. But I think, I'm not saying a 20-year-old isn't capable of it. I'm saying 20-year-olds today are capable of it because they've had 20 years of way different societal programming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what's kind of interesting? There's a good friend of ours that lives in the Seattle area that has been one of my best friends for years and years and years. And he specifically wanted me to talk to his 3 young children about our relationship, because what he wants them to see, it's not that he wants them to have the relationship type that he has. He wants them to know about all healthy relationship types.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. And they're like a good family. They're monogamous. They go to church. They're like, they're like your stereotypical white picket fence family that you wouldn't think would be like, I want my kids to know about non-monogamy. And that, so it just makes me happy that all types of people are,
so, that people are embracing it and taking a look at alternative lifestyles and thinking, you know what, maybe that's not for me, but I want my kids to know about it because it might make my kid happy to be in that kind of a relationship.
Yeah. So do you find it weird that most people are comfortable with cheating, more comfortable with cheating than non-monogamy? And then Harley also says, I find it weird why cheating is so accepted. And I get, like, logically, I don't get why, because logically it doesn't make sense. Like I was saying to my ex, like, if we would have just been all honest about this thing, you could have had your cake and been eating it too and everything. I would have been fine with it. Like if we were, you know what I mean? And for some people, the thrill is the cheating and the deception and the lying. It's like a thrill for them that goes with it.
I got one friend that says it's a fetish.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'm not sure, like, how do you think it's really a fetish, or do you think it's just the thrill of cheating? Like, and you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
With that person, what is your feeling?
I think it could be a fetish. However, I think the inclination to do that is a fetish. I think the choice to act on it unethically is a poor choice. I think that if you get off on the thrill of deception and sneakiness, and that's really at the core of it for you, like, we're doing something we're not supposed to be doing, and if we get caught, like if it's that vibe that you're going for, you can find that vibe in other ethical, healthy ways. Might it be quite as fun as like really ruining marriages and people's lives and cheating? Maybe not. But you're also not ruining marriages and people's lives and cheating and, leaving kids with single parents and shit. Like,
I don't like making people feel bad for any reason.
Right.
Especially in sexual relationships. There's so much opportunity out there. Now, it's not that I don't mind, guiding somebody along if they have an unhealthy relationship, but it's never my intention to, I'm going to fuck that guy's wife and make him feel bad on purpose. Like, that's never the goal. Ever. That's never the goal. But because it's about the person that I'm having a relationship with,
Yeah.
or having sex with. Like, it's about the sex with that person. It's not to make somebody else feel anything. It's an A-B situation only.
But a lot of people, they have been conditioned and raised that way, where it's like, I'm going to get even with you by hurting you, by really emotionally, like, I don't feel good unless I hurt you. I make it really fucking hurt. And it's like, that's a bigger issue than polyamory. Like, that's, I really think like all people should be in therapy. Like, everybody, even if you think you're healthy, is that ever what are you doing that tickles? It's weird. What are you doing to me?
Marking you.
Oh, okay.
Like a cat.
They shouldn't pee on me.
Hey. You're talking my language.
Let me see here. Sunny, I had such a similar experience dating 2 people right now that didn't trigger jealousy until one partner and I had a bad date night that resulted in me jealous of their next date together. Yeah, some of it is actually like FOMO.
That's interesting, yeah.
It's not like, oh, I see you going out and having a good time, and that's reminding me like we need a date night. It could just be like, I see you going out and having a good time with a third, partner, And I don't have a third partner. I want to go. I'm jealous. Like I have FOMO because I want to go out on dates, but I don't have somebody. So that I've heard that is super common amongst people, especially when you hear people are like, we're opening up our relationship for the first time. And again, I'm sort of leaning towards we think we're being healthy, but maybe we're not monogamous couple. And the guy, it's his idea, let's open up our relationship. And the wife or the girlfriend or it's like, okay, I'm warming up to the idea. And then it turns out she gets all the dates and he doesn't get any. And he's like, it was my idea. Like I've seen that happen so many times. And then there's this like FOMO jealousy. Like, I want to go on a date.
So I have a question
I want
for
a
you.
partner.
Like with you and I, for example, did you ever take into consideration how you are not as hip on socializing as I am? Like you prefer not to leave the house unless it's with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So did that come into play with your decisions about the dating process? Just because I'm a very social person and I like to go out and I like to do things and be out.
I don't
in
understand what do you mean? Did that come into play? What do you mean dating process? What?
Did you think about how your socialization level and mine were a little bit different, where I have a higher social drive, you have a lower social drive? Did you ever think about that in relationship to how you felt about when you were starting to get negative feelings when I would go out?
No, because I wasn't jealous of you going out and me not going. That is an us thing. I'm just giving as an example.
Oh, okay.
I was jealous of, oh, you're having lots of intimate time with somebody else. That's reminding me we haven't had much intimate time lately. That's okay. I could give a shit. Like I really don't like people. I don't like relationships.
That was my point.
I don't like going out that much.
I do like people.
I don't like going out with men as much. Like if I can go out with a woman and have a great time. When I go out with them, like I just don't like men as much in general. Like you're one of the lucky few. So I think that's different. Like if I had more women partners, I probably would go out socially more because I enjoy their company more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I imagine like if Dixie was closer, like that would be
like if we were like doing it, which we're not doing.
Well, not that you're doing it, but yeah.
But if we were, yeah, like I don't know. With women, I tend to have more of not only a sexual relationship, but there's also like that friendship. Like we're girlfriends, we're going out, we're laughing, we're doing this, we're doing that. I don't have that as much with men.
No.
You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, let's get back to questions. Let's see. I like to say I live a life of compersion. We're going to define that in a minute. And I never felt jealousy over Mrs., but I did finally feel it over one of my partners. Interesting. So really quick, compersion I want to define. That's a great word. When I first learned the word compersion, I was like, yes. It is basically, the short definition is the opposite of jealousy, which really it's like, and I will frame it in a monogamous way, okay? Not in a relationship way. Let's say your partner really likes to play pool. They're on a pool league. They go play pool all the time. You fucking don't really get it. Like you're like, pool, whatever. But you go out with them on their pool nights. You see them having a good time, laughing with their pool buddies. And when you look at them, even though you're like, I'm not involved in this at all, and it's really also not my thing, but when I see them doing something that they love doing, it makes me happy. Like I just smile looking at them doing it because I know they're really happy. That's compersion. And in a poly relationship, it's knowing that your partner is with another partner and you're happy for them. Like, oh, you came home and told me you had good sex. That makes me feel good. I'm so happy for you. So it is the opposite of jealousy. And it's a great thing to have, whether it's about another partner or whether it's about you like to play pool. You know what I mean?
Gwenadora has a good point about fetishes and some of the content that she's
cheating is a big fetish. Yes, my homewrecker content is some of my best sellers. See, but that's what I'm saying, because I like did the phone thing and the video thing, and you're right. Like there's a lot of people where it's like, ooh, I'm gonna get caught. Ooh, it's a big, oh, you're gonna ruin my life now. But those folks are doing it in a healthy way. They're calling a line. They're doing a Skype. They're playing it out. It's a role play where it's like most of them, some of them really do want you to call their wife and do home wrecking, but most of the time it is like we're going to play act this and we're going to take it to the furthest edge just before I really get busted and fucked over. And then we're going to, then it's like, all right, we're playing. And that is a healthy example of how to say, I have this fetish, I have these feelings, I can't make them go away, but it is my choice whether I act on them ethically or not. And that's an ethical way to do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yes, and if you haven't bought any of Gwen Adora's porn, please do. It is amazing.
And then I'm going to bring up, to me, that's an ethical way to do it. There are some wives who, if they found out that their husband was calling a phone sex line and playing out these things, they would say that's cheating. So that's subjective. Oh, there are a lot of wives who go, my husband is looking at porn without my knowledge. That is cheating. I don't believe in that at all. Like,
if that's the case, I've been a cheater my whole life.
But there, a lot of times what defines cheating is subjective. It is the agreement the specific agreement that you have with that partner. So to us, cheating may look very different between us than it would between the couple that live across the street. So for some, even though I say that's an ethical way to do it, the wife may beg to differ. Is it a more ethical way than actually going out and really doing yes, on a scale of what's more ethical. But again, that's subjective. So it's like we're in like philosophy class about sex and relationships. Let's see. You can have to. I think a lot of cheating is due to not being taught how to communicate and deal with relationship issues. You win. Yes, I agree with you. Let's see. I love the chat. So those of you who are on other platforms, come on over to Get Vocal. Click the link up there because there's whole side conversations going on in the chat about cheating and jealousy, and you miss all that stuff when you're not on Get Vocal.
Adam has a Dixie fetish.
Let's see. I'm just seeing what compersion is a mind fuck for us jealous types. Yeah, and there's one thing I have to say. I was on Clam Chatter, who is a show on Wednesday nights on Get Vocal in the Connection Zone, hosted by JoJo. I did a Clam Chatter for Boulder Fringe Festival. I was a guest on Clam Chatter for that. And we talked about non-monogamy. And it was a really great conversation. Like, I wish it was archived somewhere. I think you have to be part of the festival to see it, but it was good. But that's the thing. A lot of polyamorous people think they're wrong. I'll tell you before I even tell you what it is. They're wrong. They think that I'm just totally distracted. I'm afraid you're going to throw up my eye. They think
your eye.
That they are more evolved, that they are better than monogamous people because they are more emotionally intelligent and they can overcome their jealousy, unlike those, mouth-breathing monogamous people. That's a bunch of bullshit, okay? Polyamory is not better than monogamy. It's not more evolved. It's not better. Cut the elitist fucking bullshit. There are different relationship types for different people. Plain and simple. That's it. Granted, there are things, that they call toxic monogamy, right? And it doesn't mean that monogamy is toxic. It is not. There are toxic ideals that monogamy has taught us, and I mean all of us, things that polyamorous people bring into their relationships. Those, all of us should try to get rid of. Like, when you are dating someone, it means you own them. That is not healthy in any way, shape, or form, whether you're polyamorous, whether you're monogamous. It doesn't mean monogamy is toxic, but it means that ideal is not great. Same with like jealousy is a sign of love. The more jealous they are, the more they love me. That's fucked up. But does that mean all of monogamy is fucked up? No.
No.
So
there's some great examples. And hi, Jane. Good to see you.
Survived the coronavirus, had to go to the ER due to a dick to the eye. That would make for a great story. Yeah. So glad the cheaters got themselves out of my life and didn't learn from these relationships. Yeah. And hi, Jane. yeah, it's like, I don't know. A lot of people say, like, there was a comment here. For me, it was my religious background and my mother. Yeah. That's like that early program. That's a lot. But,
See, part of it with me, my mom was a cheater.
Really?
She cheated on my stepdads all the time. That's why she had so many.
How do you think that affected you?
Well, I had some good positive role models too. We had a lot of friends that were nudists and swingers, and I knew what that was when I was a little kid. And then, like,
was your mom a swinger?
No, that's the thing.
Are you sure?
I think positive, yeah. Absolutely okay. Positive. She was a cheater, not a swinger.
Was it her fetish?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I just think it's how she expressed herself when she wasn't getting the emotions that she needed out of my stepdad. Because he was a good provider financially, but not in any other way. So
right.
He was not there present. He was not emotionally there. Everything was about him, no matter what. But I think my mom and my stepdad would have been much happier people had they been swingers.
Yeah.
Because instead of cheating, because cheating is just awful. Like, that can't make anybody. That's not a good end to anything. And then my stepdad tried to date my aunt. It was awful.
Oh God. But there are also those situations, and some of them work out really well, which, I'm like, if everyone's on the up and up and it works for you, that's great. Like, I am not one of those people who would be comfortable in don't ask, don't tell. Like, I know you go out and cheat and that's fine. But there are, and you hear this a lot, like with older couples. Like, I knew an older couple where they have been married for 40 years, like forever and ever. And he had a woman that he had for probably 20 years that every Tuesday afternoon he'd go to her house, and that was that. And
they didn't talk about it?
No, am I there? Was I there for their private conversations? No.
Well, no, of course not.
But she knew about it. She didn't seem too upset. It wasn't like she was like, he's at her house again. But she also was like, she wasn't like, he's at such and such a, like, wasn't open. It was, I want to say, like, she might have had a code word for it, but everyone knew. And it was just, and I don't know if it was like, I don't know what their personal, they're both passed away now, but I don't know what their personal situation was. Maybe like, he wanted sex and her health made it where she couldn't have, but they had also been seeing each other for like decades. So I don't think that was it. I don't know, but they seemed to manage it fine. Like, but they were also, if they were still alive right now, they'd be well into their 90s. They'd probably be 100 years old. So maybe they just grew up in a completely different generation. And to them, they were sort of doing non-ethical non-monogamy in the only way they knew. You know what I mean?
And I think it's more of a proprietary thing in some cultures. Like when you look at like British culture in the UK, I think that sort of thing, especially with people that are in the upper class, like that tends to be more of a thing that they like, it's okay to have a side piece.
Yeah. Also, like in Black communities and poor communities, it's been going on for a long ass time. Like, but they just never, it was more sort of a like that situation. We all knew and it was okay, but we still don't talk about, it's like we don't process over brunch like we do now in 2020.
I like having the metamors coming over though and bringing their kids and all of our kids hanging out with their kids. And we used to have the big parties and like in the backyard, and we'd have the movies on the, on the garage and the sheet and stuff like that. I miss that.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff was fun.
I was thinking too, like, I don't know if what shaped my early ideas of non-monogamy before I even knew it was a thing was my grandmother, my grandfather. They were married my mom was born
I was always wondering if your grandfather was poly.
No, well, I'll tell you. I think I know the story. I don't think there was anything going on. I think he did go to swinger parties. I think he did fuck a lot of people. But that has nothing to do with my grandma. Anyway, so my mom was born in the early 50s. They were divorced by the time she was a teenager. It was a horrible. They didn't talk for a few years, and then suddenly they talked again. They ended up living in the same apartment building until both of them died. He lived upstairs, she lived downstairs. He had girlfriends. He had live-in girlfriends. My grandmother was very good friends with his long-term living girlfriend. They had dinner all the time. They had coffee all the time. Like they all were like one big happy family. My grandfather came down to my grandmother's house every day. They had coffee together.
Sounds pretty poly.
Yeah, it was very. I don't think my grandma and my grandfather were actually fucking though, but they were very emotionally connected, like family. Like when she died, this is a little weird, but when she died, he was so heartbroken. And it was one of those things where like everyone's like, shh, don't say anything, pretend this isn't happening. He was sobbing. He threw himself on her casket, lifted one leg, so he was like laying on the casket and kind of made out with her body. And everyone was just like, what's Joe doing?
So hold up. Like,
he was so upset. He was like giving her one last kiss.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So like not giving her a kiss on her body, but on her lips.
On her lips, yeah.
Okay,
but it was her dead body
okay.
lips. Like, and everyone was just like, oh my God. And I think he had a few drinks and he was just so upset. You know, it was like they had known each other since they were teenagers. Like they lived their whole lives together. They loved each other. You know what I mean? They regarded each other as family. I don't think they were fucking, but the vibe was very poly.
Yeah.
Like she loved his girlfriend, they raised me because my mom was a fuckhead. So they were like, my grandmother and my grandfather took turns raising me. I get passed back and forth between their apartments. And it was just a very poly vibe. So I think that's where my poly leanings.
Kind of is a good comment.
Okay. I still have a partner who can't tell his mom. Oh yeah.
No, above that.
Oh yeah. In the Black community, you have this idea of being or having a side thing is more accepted than the openness of me and my husband. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like a lot of that has been going on for a long fucking time. It's like they just call it other stuff, or, you know, it isn't quite out in the open, but it's been, this has been happening in some form or another for a long ass time, just in our modern society. Like I'm not talking way hundreds of years back. That's a whole nother story. But like people now think, and it's like the white granola crunchy, like, you know, I'm your poly guru and I wrote a book kind of person that think they invented polyamory. I just saw a post today, and I hate the word guru. I'm making fun of it because like I saw a post today like, will white men in the poly community stop calling themselves gurus? It's like, thank you. But yeah, it's like this is why I don't identify as polyamorous, even though I'm saying a lot right now because it's just a word we all know. But if someone, you know, I don't go, oh yeah, I'm poly. I say I'm ethically non-monogamous because to me, when I hear someone go, I'm poly or I'm polyamorous, I think white granola, crunchy, privileged. Oh my God, I'm so oppressed, but the only person I can think about is me. And I know that sounds shitty, but that's my experience. Like those are the people that I've been exposed to in that community. And I'm just like, I can't.
You know, it's interesting. We talk about our relationship as far as like the structure of it more here. I don't ever recall us talking about it with like a relative, unless the relative has asked first.
What, with our relative?
Yeah, with you and me being in an open relationship, like until it comes up, like it's not
Uncle
like we have.
George, but like, okay, so Uncle George.
No, when they ask, I'm not saying we don't throw it in anybody's face. Though.
Yeah,
like, we do much more expressive stuff here, talking with, you know, the people that watch us on Get Vocal.
Yeah, because it's not necessary.
But I want them to know, like, so this isn't something that we like. You know, we answer questions about our relationship if any of our family members ask. It's just that they very rarely do.
Right. We don't go screaming to our neighbors, hi, we're polyamorous. Like, we're not, you know, want to have a game night? We don't do that. But like, and even with our kids, it was like, they, you know, we didn't raise our kids like, hi, you're 5 years old. We're polyamorous. Here's Dad's girlfriend. Like, it was more kind of needed to know, age appropriate. And like, now they know, you know, but it wasn't immediate. And like, even with Uncle George, he was gay. He I guess was open. Yeah, I don't know if he would say I'm poly. He might not even know what that is.
Open relationship.
Yeah, that's just even when he had long-term partners for decades, he still fucked other people. And you know, like he was fine with it. Like, we never really told him until he started living with us. And I think you had a date or something. Or somebody was coming to visit who was a partner or something.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, we should probably tell him why this person's here and what's happening. So we're just like, okay, and being a gay man who was non-monogamous his whole life, he still has some pretty heteronormative ideas. Like, so I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be like, I'm a gay guy and I can fuck whoever I want and it's fine. But you are a married hetero couple. Oh my God, you horrible cheater, Ken. How can you? Like, I didn't know how he was going to react because that would be typical of him. Like, because he was 90 and he had very old fashioned ideas. And, but he was just like, okay, so you're married. You have a girlfriend sometimes, but it's okay. You know about it. You date people sometimes? You're going on a date? That's your girlfriend? Okay. And that was it. Like, yeah. Anyway, it's 9:01. We're after time. Here's what's going to happen. Those of you watching on the simulcast stations, we are going to be continuing this conversation. We might still stick with Polly. It might get off topic. It might get weird. He might try to blind me again. I don't know what's going to happen. But the only way you can be get away.
Anything
get away.
Happen.
Get away. The only way you can be part of that conversation is if you hop on over to the Get Vocal platform right now, because when I stop the recording, not only people who are watching this on archive, you'll never see what we talk about, the simulcast stop too. So click the link above you if you're watching on Periscope, YouTube, or what was the other Periscope user, or Facebook. Come on over to Get Vocal and visit us again every Wednesday night. Next Wednesday night, whatever the date is, the 9th, I think.
Yep.
8:00 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but it'll be something good.
And really quick, please follow me at Twitch at twitch.tv/ThunderpantsRPG. I need more followers, so if you have a chance and you haven't seen what I do yet, please follow me there, and you can take a look at some of the work that I do and see some of the amazing stuff that we do while we're gaming and having a great time. The 3 major streams are on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Look for Thunderpants RPG, Jafari's Gift. There's the Goblins, the Witches, and the Pirates.
Witches. Go Team Witches. Anyway, thanks, everyone. Mwah. American Sex Live. Excited Megatron, Ken Molenberg. Signing out. Everyone on Get Vocal, stay here. We're going to continue the conversation. Bye!